In the quaint town of Eldridge, nestled under the shadow of old mountains and surrounded by the vast expanse of whispering woods, Toby Alderson was a fixture as vibrant and unpredictable as the wind. At 14, his mind was a playground of fantastical ideas, stories of distant planets and creatures from beyond the stars, a source of endless amusement and occasional exasperation for the townsfolk. One crisp autumn evening, with the sky draped in a blanket of stars, Toby lay on the cool grass of his backyard. His telescope, a birthday gift from 2 years ago, pointed towards the heavens, searching for secrets. As his eyes roamed the cosmos, a sudden flash of light caught his attention. It was not the steady twinkle of a star or the predictable path of a satellite, but a vibrant, pulsating orb that streaked across the sky before descending towards the earth. It seemed to land just beyond the ridgeline, where the forest grew dense and dark. Toby's heart raced with excitement. He knew what he had seen was extraordinary, something truly out of this world. He rushed inside, bursting through the door, his words tumbling out in a breathless torrent. "Mom! Dad! You've got to see this. I saw a UFO. It landed right over the ridge." His parents, Sarah and Martin Alderson, exchanged a weary look over their evening tea. Sarah, a kind-hearted school teacher, set down her cup with a soft clink. "Toby, are you sure it wasn't just a shooting star? Your imagination does have a way of running wild." Martin, a mechanic with grease-stained hands and a gentle demeanor, chuckled softly. "Maybe it's time to pack up the telescope for tonight, champ. It's getting late." But Toby was undeterred. The fire of discovery burned too brightly within him. "No, really, I have to show you. Please, just come and look," he pleaded. Seeing the earnestness in his eyes, Sarah sighed. "All right, Toby, lead the way." With Comet, his loyal golden retriever, bounding alongside, Toby led his skeptical parents out into the night. They trekked towards the ridge, Toby recounting every detail of what he had seen. As they approached the forest, the familiar sounds of nightlife filled the air, the distant hoot of an owl, the rustle of leaves, and a gentle breeze. Yet, there was no sign of alien visitors or their spacecraft. They searched the area where Toby insisted the light had descended, but found nothing out of the ordinary. The woods seemed as they always were, ancient and unbothered by tales of extraterrestrial visitors. "Toby, there's nothing here," Martin said, placing a comforting hand on his son's shoulder. "It was a great adventure, though, wasn't it?" Disheartened yet defiant, Toby nodded. "I know what I saw. It was real," he muttered, more to himself than to his parents. Sarah smiled, hugging him tight. "We believe you saw something, honey. Let's head back home. It's late, and you have school tomorrow." As they walked back, Toby's mind raced. He knew what he had seen, and he was determined to prove it. Tomorrow, he would come back, with or without his parents' belief. Little did he know, his life was about to change forever, as the wheels of a story larger than he could imagine had begun to turn in the shadowy depths of Eldridge's woods. The next day, after school, Toby couldn't shake off the image of the descending light from his mind. Armed with his camera and accompanied by Comet, he set off once more towards the ridge. The afternoon sun filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the path that wound its way through the forest. As he approached the clearing where he believed the UFO had landed, Toby felt a tingling sensation of anticipation mixed with a dash of fear. He tread lightly, every sense alert, as he navigated through the underbrush, trying to be as silent as possible. Reaching the clearing, Toby was astonished to see that his instincts had been right. There, in the middle of a small, natural clearing, stood a sleek, silver spacecraft. Its surface was smooth and reflective, almost mirror-like, save for the strange symbols etched along its side that glowed with a soft blue light. It was unlike anything Toby had ever seen, clearly not made by human hands. He crouched behind a large bush, his heart pounding in his chest, and peered out with wide eyes. Slowly, the hatch of the spacecraft opened with a hiss, releasing a mist that swirled around the base of the ship. One by one, Beings unlike any Toby had imagined stepped out. They were tall and slender, with translucent skin that shimmered under the sunlight. Their eyes were large and expressive, conveying a sense of intelligence and curiosity. They wore suits that seemed to be made of some sort of metallic fabric that adapted its color slightly to blend with the surrounding environment. Toby watched, fascinated and terrified, as they began to set up some kind of equipment. It looked like they were taking samples of the earth and air, inserting them into devices that emitted soft whirring noises and blinking lights. They communicated with each other in a series of clicks and tones, a language that was completely foreign to Toby. Realizing the significance of what he was witnessing, Toby slowly raised his camera, his hands trembling slightly. Just as he was about to take a picture, one of the aliens turned sharply, its gaze piercing directly towards where he hid. Toby's breath hitched, and he ducked down, hoping he hadn't been seen. After a tense moment, he dared to look again. The aliens had returned to their work, seemingly unbothered. Toby took several photos, each click of the shutter sounding impossibly loud in the quiet of the clearing. He knew he needed more proof, something undeniable. He began recording a video, capturing the aliens' movements and their strange instruments. Just then, Comet, who had been quietly observing by his side, let out a low growl. Toby glanced at him, putting a finger to his lips, but it was too late. One of the aliens looked up directly at them, its eyes narrowing. In a fluid motion, it communicated to the others, and suddenly the atmosphere changed. Fear surged through Toby as the aliens swiftly packed up their equipment. They moved with a purpose and agility that was almost superhuman. Toby realized he needed to leave, and quickly, before they could catch him spying. He backed away slowly, trying not to make any sudden movements that might provoke a chase. But the rustling of the leaves under his foot gave him away, and the next thing he knew, a soft blue light was sweeping the area, searching. With his heart in his throat, Toby turned and ran, clutching the camera tight. The aliens were fast, but Toby knew this forest, and he dashed through shortcuts and ducked under branches, Comet keeping pace beside him. Just as he thought they might escape, a figure stepped out from behind a tree, a human figure. It was Agent Laura Knox, although Toby didn't know it yet. She held a device in her hand that hummed with energy, and with a decisive press of a button, a wave of force emanated from it, stunning the pursuing aliens momentarily. "This way, quick!" she called to Toby, motioning for him to follow her. Together, they ran deeper into the woods, away from the alien encounter that would mark the beginning of an unimaginable adventure. Toby, with Comet at his heels, followed the mysterious woman as they plunged deeper into the forest. His heart pounded against his ribs, fueled by adrenaline and the surreal reality of being chased by actual aliens. The forest, once a place of tranquil solitude, now felt like a labyrinth of shadows and unknown dangers. The woman moved with a confident, brisk pace that Toby struggled to match. "Keep up. We need to put more distance between us and them," she called over her shoulder. Her voice was calm, but carried an urgency that spurred Toby on despite his burning lungs. As they ran, Toby glimpsed the woman's gear. It was unlike any standard military or law enforcement equipment he had ever seen. It was sleek, compact, and seemed to be crafted from materials that subtly shifted in texture and color, blending with the environment. She noticed his gaze. "Custom tech. Helps with missions like these," she explained briefly, not slowing her pace. Finally, they reached a small, camouflaged shelter hidden among the dense undergrowth. "In here," she said, pulling back what appeared to be just another part of the underbrush, but revealed a well-concealed door. They slipped inside, and she secured the entrance. Inside, the shelter was surprisingly high-tech, filled with monitors and various types of equipment that emitted soft, glowing lights. "Who are you?" Toby panted, trying to catch his breath, his mind racing with questions. "My name is Agent Laura Knox. I work for a division of the government that deals with extraterrestrial interactions," she explained, her eyes scanning the monitors. "We've been tracking that scout ship for weeks. They landed here because this area is geologically unique, which apparently is valuable to them. Toby absorbed her words, a mix of fear and excitement swirling within him. And they just chased us because I was taking pictures. Partly, Knox replied, turning to face him. They're cautious about leaving traces of their presence. Any evidence of their technology or being could disrupt their mission and alert other factions within their species. The reality of the situation began to sink in. Toby was now involved in something far larger and more dangerous than anything he had ever imagined. Yet, there was a thrill to it, the allure of the unknown, and the chance to be part of something monumental. Knox seemed to read his thoughts. I could use your help, Toby. You know this area better than my team does, and your footage is the first clear evidence we've captured. It's risky, but you'd be contributing to our understanding of their intentions. Toby nodded, the weight of the responsibility settling on his young shoulders. What do you need me to do? For starters, we need to retrieve your camera. It's likely they didn't catch you on their sensors, but if they find it, they'll destroy it to eliminate any data you collected. The thought of heading back out there was daunting, but the determination to prove himself and contribute to something bigger pushed his fear aside. Okay, let's get my camera back. They spent a few moments planning their next move, using the monitors to track the movements of the aliens. Knox handed Toby a compact device. This is a cloaking device. It'll distort their sensors, make you harder to detect. Stay close to me and keep quiet. Equipped and ready, they ventured back into the twilight of the forest. Toby felt a mix of dread and excitement as they neared the clearing where he had left his camera. The area was eerily quiet, the usual sounds of wildlife silenced, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. As they approached the spot, Toby's heart sank. The camera was gone. He scanned the ground frantically, hoping it had merely been dropped in the chaos. Suddenly, a soft blue light flickered nearby. They froze. Hiding behind a tree, they watched as one of the aliens, equipped with what looked like a scanning device, surveyed the area. Toby and Knox remained perfectly still, barely breathing. The cloaking device seemed to be working. The alien scanner passed over their hiding spot without alerting it to their presence. Once the alien moved on, Knox touched Toby's shoulder gently. We need to go back to the shelter. There's another way to get what we need, but it's going to be even more dangerous. Are you up for it? Toby, thinking of his uneventful life before this night, of his dreams of adventure and heroism, nodded resolutely. Let's do it. They retreated silently, the weight of their task settling in, but Toby's determination only grew. He was no longer just a boy with a telescope. He was part of something that could change everything. Back in the safety of the hidden shelter, Toby and Agent Knox huddled around a table littered with maps, digital screens, and various high-tech gadgets. Knox explained more about the Earth Defense Force, EDF, a covert branch of the government tasked with managing extraterrestrial threats and opportunities. Toby listened intently, absorbing every piece of information as Knox outlined the complexity of their situation. The aliens, known as the Zaltraxians, are part of a coalition interested in Earth for its biodiversity and strategic location, Knox revealed, pointing to a holographic image of the galaxy that shimmered in the air between them. Your footage showed they're using a biosampling technology we've never seen before. It's capable of extracting and analyzing DNA at an unprecedented rate. Toby leaned closer, his mind racing with the implications. So, they're here for our resources? Possibly, Knox nodded. Or they could be preparing for something bigger. That's why your help is crucial. We need to know their plans. Determined to make a difference, Toby agreed to continue assisting Knox. She trained him on basic surveillance and counterespionage techniques. Toby proved to be a quick learner, his youthful enthusiasm matched by a sharp mind. He learned how to use the cloaking device more effectively and practiced moving silently through various terrains. We need to infiltrate their landing site again, Knox proposed later that evening. They'll likely enhance their security, but with your help and my equipment, we have a chance to get close enough to plant a surveillance bug. Armed with new skills and gadgets, they set out under the cover of darkness. The night was quiet, the moon a thin crescent barely lighting their path. Toby felt a mix of fear and excitement pulsing through him as they approached the alien site. As they neared the clearing, Knox handed Toby a small, insect-like device. This is a nanobug. It will adhere to their tech and transmit data back to us. Just place it somewhere discreet on one of their machines. Creeping closer to the site, they noticed increased security measures. 2 Zaltraxians patrolled the perimeter, their suits now emitting a low red glow, possibly indicating some sort of scanning capability. Toby and Knox used the natural foliage as cover, moving closer with each careful step. Toby, remembering the layout from his previous visit, guided Knox to a less guarded part of the camp. There, he whispered, pointing to a large, cylindrical device that hummed quietly. That looks important. Nodding, Knox covered him as he approached. Toby, heart pounding, slipped the nanobug onto the device, his fingers trembling slightly as he pressed it into a narrow crevice. The bug blended perfectly with the alien machinery, virtually undetectable. Just as Toby retreated, a sudden flash of light swept over the area. "Move!" Knox hissed, pulling him back just as a beam of light passed inches from where he had been. They dashed into the woods, dodging light beams and evading the increasingly agitated aliens. Once they had put enough distance between themselves and the clearing, they slowed down, breaths heavy in the silent night. Did we do it? Did it work? Toby asked, his voice a mix of hope and worry. Knox checked her device, a small screen lighting up her face. Yes, it's transmitting. You did great, Toby. Relief washed over Toby, mixed with a surge of pride. They made their way back to the shelter, cautious but confident. They had taken a significant risk, but it had paid off. Now, they would be able to gather crucial information about the Zaltraxians' intentions. Back in the shelter, as they monitored the incoming data, Toby felt a sense of camaraderie with Knox. They were a team now, linked by a shared mission. Knox regarded him with a newfound respect. You've got a knack for this, Toby. You're not just a kid anymore. You're a crucial part of this operation. Toby smiled, a sense of purpose filling him. He was no longer the boy who cried aliens. He was a defender of Earth, and his journey had only just begun. As Toby and Agent Knox reviewed the data streaming from the nanobug, they uncovered alarming details about the Zaltraxians' mission. The aliens were not only collecting biological samples, but were also conducting advanced reconnaissance, likely preparing for a larger invasion. The evidence was now undeniable, and the stakes were higher than ever. We need to act quickly, Knox declared, her expression grim. Their next transmission to their home planet could initiate the first wave of their invasion force. We have to disrupt their communications. Toby nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. What's the plan? Knox outlined a daring strategy. They would use the cover of night to launch a surprise attack on the alien camp. The objective was to capture one of their communication devices, which would not only cripple their ability to call for reinforcements, but also provide the EDF with valuable technology. Equipped with stealth suits, Toby and Knox set out as dusk fell over the forest. The sky was a blanket of deep blue, stars beginning to twinkle above as they moved silently towards the alien site. Toby's earlier fear had transformed into a focused determination, sharpened by Knox's training and the critical nature of their mission. As they approached the perimeter of the alien camp, the familiar hum of the Zaltraxian technology filled the air. Knox signaled to Toby, pointing out the guard pattern she had observed. 2 aliens, their suits glowing faintly in the darkness, patrolled the area. Follow my lead, Knox whispered. They waited for the guards to pass before darting between the shadows, making their way towards the center of the camp where the communications equipment was located. They reached the device, a towering structure pulsing with light, without detection. Toby watched in awe as Knox began to work on the device, her hands moving quickly to attach another of her gadgets designed to intercept and block the signals. Suddenly, a sharp alarm cut through the night. The camp lit up with swirling red lights. They've detected the breach. Knox shouted over the blaring alarms. We need to hold them off. Toby and Knox took defensive positions as the Zaltraxians converged on their location. The aliens moved with incredible speed, their weapons emitting bursts of energy that sizzled past, illuminating the trees. Using the guerrilla tactics Knox had taught him, Toby managed to take down one of the approaching aliens with a well-aimed shot from a stun gun. The alien crumpled to the ground, temporarily incapacitated. Knox, meanwhile, expertly dodged incoming fire, returning shots with precision. The battle was fierce, with energy blasts lighting up the night and the sound of combat echoing through the forest. Despite their technological disadvantage, Toby and Knox used the terrain to their advantage, taking cover behind trees and using the element of surprise to disrupt the alien forces. After several tense minutes, Knox successfully installed the device. It's done. Let's move, she yelled, grabbing Toby's arm. They retreated, covering each other as they moved back towards the safety of the forest. Behind them, the alien camp was in disarray, their communication temporarily severed. Breathing heavily, they made it back to the shelter. Knox immediately checked the device's status on her equipment. It's working. Their communications are blocked for now. Toby slumped down, exhausted but exhilarated. Did we do enough? Knox gave him a tired smile. For today, yes. You were incredible out there. As they monitored the disrupted alien communications, they knew the battle was far from over. They had bought her some time, but the threat loomed larger than ever. Toby, no longer just a participant in Knox's plans, felt a deep resolve to see this through, to protect his home from the impending invasion. Together, they began planning their next move, ready to face whatever challenges the Zaltraxians might bring. After their successful disruption of the Zaltraxian communications, Toby and Agent Knox knew they needed to act quickly to capitalize on their advantage. They worked tirelessly, analyzing the data intercepted from the alien device to uncover the full scope of the invasion plan. Their strategy involves multiple phases. Knox explained as they reviewed the complex alien schematics displayed on the shelter's monitors. They planned to establish a forward operating base here in Eldridge. From here, they would expand, slowly taking over strategic locations around the planet. Toby listened intently, his earlier adventures replaced by a sobering realization of the gravity of their situation. "What's our move?" he asked, ready to do whatever was necessary to protect his hometown and ultimately Earth. Knox laid out their final plan. "We expose them. With the evidence we've gathered, we can go public, reveal the Zaltraxian presence and their intentions. It will prompt a global response and hopefully unite the world's powers against this common threat." They prepared a detailed report and planned a live broadcast. Toby's footage, combined with the data from the Zaltraxian technology, would be undeniable proof of the alien threat. Knox contacted her superiors at EDF headquarters, securing the necessary channels to release their findings. The day of the broadcast, Toby felt a mix of nerves and excitement. He thought about his parents, his friends, and how everything was about to change. Knox gave him an encouraging nod as they went live, broadcasting to every major news network around the globe. "Ladies and gentlemen," Knox began, her voice steady and clear, "we are not alone in the universe. Tonight, we share with you undeniable evidence of an alien species, known as the Zaltraxians, who have arrived on Earth with the intention of colonization. Images of the Zaltraxian technology, their ships, and the intercepted plans filled the screens. Toby's video played, showing the aliens in action, a real-time testament to the truth of their claims. The response was immediate and overwhelming. World leaders called emergency meetings. Scientists debated the implications, and news outlets buzzed with the story of the century. Meanwhile, the public reaction ranged from fear to fascination. Amidst the chaos, Toby and Knox were called to testify before the United Nations. They presented their evidence, answering questions and helping to form a coordinated global response. The EDF was thrust into the spotlight, now recognized as Earth's first line of defense in an increasingly uncertain future. As the world united, preparing defenses and exploring diplomatic channels with the Zaltraxians, Toby watched from the sidelines, his role pivotal in what had unfolded. He felt a strange mix of pride and disbelief. A boy with a telescope had changed the course of human history. Weeks later, back in Eldridge, life slowly returned to a new normal. Toby's parents, once skeptical, now viewed their son with a mix of awe and pride. "You really did see aliens, didn't you?" his father asked one evening as they watched the stars. "I did," Toby replied, a grin spreading across his face. "And I think I'll keep watching the skies. Who knows what else is out there?" With the world now aware and vigilant, Toby continued to assist Knox in the EDF, his life forever intertwined with the stars he once gazed at through his telescope. He was no longer just a boy who cried aliens. He was a young hero, a bridge between Earth and the mysteries of the vast, unknown universe. As Toby looked up at the twinkling stars, he knew this was just the beginning. There were more adventures out there, waiting among the endless cosmos, and he was ready to meet them head-on.